The night my own son slammed the door behind me, he thought he had finally won. At 72, you learn to recognize the sound of finality. It's not loud, it's the quiet click of a lock turning, the heavy pause that follows. I stood there in the hallway of the house I'd built brick by brick, holding a small canvas bag, while my son Armin's footsteps faded upstairs. He didn't even wait to see if I would beg. He was certain I would. I didn't. For years I had lived like a guest in my own home. After my wife passed, Armin insisted I move in with him and his family. "You'll be comfortable, Abba," he said, smiling the way children do when they want something. What he wanted was the house deed, the savings account, the car I barely drove anymore. I gave him everything, not because I was weak, but because I trusted him. Trust, I learned too late, can be expensive. At first it was small things. My chair was moved, my morning tea forgotten, then came the sighs when I spoke, the rolling eyes when I asked a question. His wife Samira made it worse. "Old people should know when to stay quiet," she'd say, loud enough for me to hear. Armin never stopped her. Silence, I discovered, is also a decision. The argument that ended it all was almost ridiculous. I had taken an old ledger from the cupboard, a thick, dusty book filled with handwritten notes. Samira accused me of hiding money. Armin stormed in, face red with anger, and shouted, "If you don't like how we run this house, you can leave." I looked at him carefully. This was the boy I once carried on my shoulders through the rain, the boy whose school fees I paid by skipping meals, the boy who now believed I had nowhere else to go. So I nodded. "Fine," I said. They expected tears, pleas, maybe even an apology. Instead, I walked to my room. What Armin never bothered to ask was why I kept that old ledger. It wasn't just notes. It was proof. Records of properties I never transferred, accounts I never shared, investments I quietly made over decades while everyone assumed I was just a retired old man counting his days. I packed lightly clothes, photographs, and the ledger. Then I left without another word. Outside, the night air was cool. I didn't feel homeless. I felt free. I went straight to the bank. The next morning, Armin woke up to find his accounts frozen. The house he thought was fully his, still partly in my name. The car he drove to show off, registered to me. The business loan he'd taken using my guarantees, cancelled. He called me 12 times before noon. I didn't answer. I checked into a small, quiet hotel by the river. For the first time in years, I slept without feeling like a burden. I ate breakfast slowly. I read the newspaper. I smiled at strangers. 3 days later, Armin showed up. He looked smaller than I remembered. His confidence was gone, replaced by panic. "Abba," he said softly, "let's talk." We sat across from each other in the hotel lounge. He tried apologies first, then guilt, then anger, finally desperation. "You took everything," he whispered. I met his eyes. No, Beta, I only took what was mine. He didn't understand. He still thought this was about money. "It was never about money," I said. "It was about respect. You threw me out because you thought I was powerless. You were wrong." I stood up to leave. He grabbed my sleeve. "What am I supposed to do now?" I paused. "The same thing I did when you were born with nothing but a cry, work." A week later, I moved into a modest apartment overlooking the river. I hired a young caretaker, not because I needed help, but because I wanted company. I donated to the mosque. I reconnected with old friends Armin never liked. Life, it turned out, wasn't over. It had just been delayed. Months passed. Armin never came back, but I heard things. Samira moved out. The business struggled. The house felt empty without someone to blame. One evening, as I watched the sun melt into the water, I realized something important. Walking away wasn't revenge. It was dignity. My son thought throwing me out would break me. He believed age meant weakness. He forgot who taught him how to stand. I didn't leave to punish him. I left to remind him, and myself, that a man who knows his worth never begs. And sometimes, the greatest lesson a father can teach is what happens when he finally walks away.